Hey, hey, what's up, guys? It's my name's Zach. We're here to recap the crazy ass Chargers Browns win.
Yeah, and Kyle again. Just right now, the Chargers just defeated the Browns. It's 4-1 right now. Their record. They're still actually first within the AFC conference, not only just in the AFC West, but within the conference itself. So
Yeah,
that's great to hear. It's great to. It was definitely a tough battle between both teams, for sure. This game.
it's like where do you even start? It's 49 points to 42 or something.
47-42 was the final score.
Oh my gosh, what a game! Well, what are your thoughts on like the whole game, or starting from the first half?
Starting for the first half, I noticed the Browns were very aggressive on us. They went with the run game, knowing the fact that one of our weaknesses for the Chargers is their run game.
Yeah,
Last week was a little bit of a different story. Josh Jacobs wasn't at full health. The Raiders weren't the best at the run game as of lately. So, but before then, we've always had weaknesses within the run game. So I think that the Browns, especially having somebody like a Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb back there, and actually the number one running offense against
yeah.
us, it was
Oof.
it was brutal. It was difficult to watch, 100%.
Dude, they like broke so many records against us, and they still lost,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is
I think
crazy.
Kareem Hunt had 2 rushing touchdowns. Chubb had one as well. So it was the run game was on. I think that between both of them, I think they were ahead like let me just check the stats with
They have
this.
got to have had 200.
So between the Browns, the yards was Nick Chubb had 161 yards rushing, an average of 77.7 yards per carry. Kareem Hunt had 61 yards rushing.
About
So
200
they
plus.
definitely had 200 plus yards rushing in total.
Wow. So you think maybe that's because of the loss of no Justin Jones in there? I definitely would have liked to see what would have been the difference with him in there. Maybe it might not have been a much difference, but I know Justin Jones makes plays.
I
But right
honestly
now,
feel like the Browns just did a great job blocking. I mean, they were setting up the 2 tight ends on the
yeah,
side. They were getting as much block help. So I think they just did a really good job blocking. And I think for us it was just as I mentioned before, our run game has always been one of our weaknesses. And yeah, it was definitely challenging that they kept pounding the rock. I think that made it difficult. Like if they had it probably in Baker Mayfield's hand, I'm pretty sure Bosa could have put a lot of pressure on him
yeah,
throughout the game. But leaning upon the run game is definitely one of, I would say, the Chargers' kryptonite right now.
yeah. It's been a problem. I don't think it was as big of a problem as in the Raiders game. We held them down pretty good. But then our big worry going into this game was, okay, we're going against the number one running back duo in Nick Chubb, and then they did exactly what I expected them to do to us, but more, but worse.
Mhm. I mean, 161 by Nick Chubb himself.
And he's been doing so and so. Kareem Hunt is the one who's been doing great, or as far as putting up the numbers, and then which is crazy. But
I mean, both are deadly. I'm surprised they even have both these running backs.
yeah, and then Ekeler, he had that very, very costly fumble. Like it gave him the ball right in by the end zone, by the red zone, and when they scored that touchdown, I honestly wasn't very worried as I was in the fourth quarter, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't worried as much.
I
But when
felt
they,
as though within the first half, it was very like they took a shot here, the other team took a shot there, the other team took a shot here. Like the lead kept changing. I think it was
yeah,
always kind of close up until like the end of the second half. Um, Unfortunately, I know our kicker missed one of the first extra point field goals, making it a little bit different in our scoring and kind of relying on 2 point conversions. But when you got to the second half, and it's like, okay, let's protect the ball. I think we had only a few seconds left in the second half because the Browns are going to have the ball. We have to protect the ball. That could have been a costly fumble within the second quarter because I think the score was, they were up. I believe it was like 17-13. It was a really close score, I think, at that point. I think it was 17-13. And all of a sudden, like, they could have scored a touchdown at that point, and then they would have the ball in the second half. And just like the Chargers do every third quarter, they always give up points within the third quarter. So
hmm
it would have been, it was ended up being, I think, 27-13 around that score. And Staley is definitely an interesting character because he actually went for 2 instead of 1 when he could have just been behind just 7 points, but he decided to go for 2 to be within 6 points. So it was definitely an interesting choice that Staley did. But I mean, his calls upon fourth down have been working, and for me, every time I see a 4th down play, my heart drops. It's like, oh no, if we don't get this, we're gonna be in trouble. So
yeah, ever since I saw him go for it on 4th and 9, I was like, holy shit. This coach is different. Like he has a dagger and he wants to put it like, he wants to put it in the other opponent. Like he doesn't want to mess around. It's like 2-minute offense for fourth quarter mentality with him at all
I
times.
think he'll probably be one of the gutsiest play callers out there, coaches out there, which I do like. It's probably gonna make me be very stressed out watching these games. But what's interesting is that I feel like other coaches kind of like are starting to kind of do the same. Like I think that the Browns went 1 for 3 when it came to 4th down this game, but they couldn't capitalize. Like they capitalized on 1 4th down, but some of the 4th downs they couldn't capitalize just as well as the Chargers did.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know how Mike Williams got so open.
Twice.
I think their safeties just got really confused and he just got left open in the dust. And it was just surprising to see that, from the 3rd best defense. I don't know. I think they had a lot of starters out this game. Not gonna lie, their injury report was pretty huge. So I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, Jadeveon Clowney wasn't in the game, and Miles was playing hurt.
Yeah. So within Mike Williams, I'm surprised they didn't put more on him because I know that he's been doing very well. Like he was actually in fantasy terms, he was considered a quarterback. A wide receiver 1. So not having that protection against him was challenging. Like I understand Keenan Allen, but as well as Mike Williams, I think he's even more deadly on the on routes. I mean, that was so much open space within the 4th quarter when he did that touchdown. It's like there was no one around him at all. But even earlier when he got his first touchdown, that he beat out the safety out there. And that took the lead. I think it ended up being 28-27 within the game, where it changed the game. Because Mike Williams had 2 touchdowns, all on long distance passes, and just for me, I like seeing that. And I know it's not going to happen to every NFL team, but I do like seeing Mike Williams definitely get involved and getting those downs. I mean, not only that, I remember he was stretched up for that 3rd down play just to get that first down. So Mike Williams is a threat this year.
And they used Donald Parham again. It's just he covers so much damn ground on that. He had that touchdown and he just went straight into the end zone. Because if you think about it, when you tackle him, he's going to fall. If he falls forward 6'8", he covers a lot of ground.
What was interesting about that play that he made a touchdown in the very beginning of the game, it kind of looked like he was in slow motion, like a monster.
I know.
Slow motion. It kind of because I think that everyone was defending all the other wide receivers because the Chargers are known to have so many weapons out there that they all forget of somebody like a Anderson or a Donald Parham. And I think that's what Herbert's trying to do is utilize multiple weapons. Always have threats with somebody like Williams, Keenan Allen, and Ekeler, of course. But he has that opportunity to utilize other playmakers that are out there, like Guyton. Palmer had a few catches out there too as well. But Donald Parham he looked like a slow motion, like I'm gonna get the touchdown, like a Frankenstein kind of like touchdown rolling. Like it wasn't fast at all, but it was just like effective because all the defenders were all back there.
2-point conversion he got too.
Yeah, which is nuts.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess one of the biggest things the Chargers need to do is kind of understand their whole kicking game. I mean, missing 2 extra point field goals was pretty big. That could have been a difference maker.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing to see.
What's kind of been concerning me though, past couple of games is Keenan Allen. He looks like himself on 4th downs, but every other down, I swear, like I've seen him fumble. Didn't he fumbled in this game and it went out of bounds?
I think what they end up calling is incomplete pass. Like he didn't actually get that fumble. Like it looked like a fumble, but it ended up being called the incomplete pass. I would have to kind of check the tapes. What I did see when I saw the game is it looked like he didn't really have possession of the ball, and it just fell out. And so they end up challenging it. I think they would end up being like, was it a fumble or not a fumble? I think the refs called it as if it was not a fumble during that play. The Ekeler was definitely a fumble. That was called out for sure during the last 20, 30 seconds of the third quarter. And that was a big play to deal with. But with Keenan Allen, I mean, he did still get some catches in. He had 6 catches for 75 yards. But you're right. I mean, I even noticed there was some open catches he could have done. I think Keenan Allen would have made those catches.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it dropped out of his hands.
Yeah.
So, I consider him probably one of the best route runners out there. So it's unfortunate that I don't think he had the best of games this week.
No.
Sure.
Well, he came through on some fourth down plays. So he made up for it. Same with Ekeler. He made up with all the mistakes he did.
What's kind of funny is that fourth down play he made is that during third down, the catch was right in front of him. He dropped it. He could have made the catch right there. But on fourth down, they went right back to him, and he was able to kind of, he was able to kind of redeem himself on that fourth down.
Yeah, he went across
That
the
was a drive that required 2 fourth down plays to actually get points on the board, which is pretty nuts.
I guess he's just gonna go for it, like every single time, depending on the opponent. I guess. I know, like that was his mentality against the Chiefs, but he did it against the Browns. Pretty much every game he's done it, right?
I think he did it against. I think he's done it against teams pretty quite often, like he did against the Raiders. But I think one of the reasons why I felt as though he went for it on fourth down is that I didn't want to see Nick Chubb handle the ball or any of the running backs handling the ball from the Browns because I feel like they would just constantly keep destroying this defense. So having the offense out on the field is very important because I think the Browns had a lot of time of possessions leading up to this. And so if the Chargers were to punt the ball or give it up, that would have been like it would have been like difficult to kind of like deal with, like not having our offense still on the field, even though Herbert has a chance to kind of get that first down. So I think I agree with the plays, but I think that's what Staley was not wanting to do is get our defense because our defense looked pretty bad against the run. I didn't want to see Nick Chubb or any of the other running backs just get a chance at the ball again. That's what I think Staley was thinking. Like, I think he didn't trust our defense at that point. And so I think that going for fourth down, like he had more confidence in the offense, the Charger offense than the defense right now. That's what I was thinking.
I mean, how could you not? You got Herbert back there slinging it. Dude had so many touchdowns today, plus a rushing touchdown. I think he had 4 touchdowns.
I think he had 1 to Parham. I think he had even 1 to Ekeler. He had 2 to Mike Williams. So he at least had 4. I think he definitely had 4 touchdown passes, and then he had 1 for his rush. And also with Herbert as well, it was actually great to see him run for the first down. Like instead of, I noticed he this game as well too. He didn't really have that many mistakes. He didn't just fling the ball over. He actually like, okay, there's no one open, so I'm gonna go ahead and run and get the first down. I think he did that like twice. He was able to kind of use his legs to actually get the first down. And
he's gonna have to do that. Yeah.
And he slid, so he avoided the damage or any kind of injury because losing Herbert would be terrible. So I think he did a great job with getting that first down when he needed to.
Yeah, Joe Burrow, he did the same thing. He was running for the first down or something, and he kind of like was diving and he did a whole spin and like he hit the hell out of his head on the field, and he got knocked out of the game for a little bit. So it's just scary. And even Daniel Jones got knocked out of the game today.
I don't know if you heard, but I think Burrow's he went to the hospital right after the game. He actually got throat issue. And so I don't know if it happened during the times he ran, but probably look into that a little bit more. But I just know that he actually went in with, like, I guess something happened in his neck or maybe some damage hit. But Joe Burrow actually had to go in the hospital right after the game.
Yeah. Thank God our quarterback is smart about that because Patrick Mahomes told him last year, don't take the hits because, he knocked the hell out of a Chiefs player last year, his first game ever, and he got back right up, but it was a loud pop.
Yeah, you don't want to be a Cam Newton.
Yeah.
But I think he's a very smart quarterback. He's a smart player. I'm glad to have him as as a Charger
Man.
quarterback right now. So I think him and Eckler were both amazing in this game. So
Yeah, man. Eckler's just something else. He's just so shifty. He's so hard to bring down. Tough player to
he's
bring
very
down.
slippery. Like when
Yeah.
I see Nick Chubb and like I feel like somebody like a Kareem Hunt would just like blast through your defensive line, and then I see
Mhm.
Nick Chubb just like full on blast. Like he's a track star, so he's just like ultimate. But I feel like Eckler doesn't have that speed, but he has that way of like cutting or movement around where it kind of makes him slippery on that in behind that line.
Yeah.
So
But
I think even three total touchdowns for him, which is pretty well. Two rushing touchdowns and yeah, a receiving touchdown. So 3 touchdowns to Eckler.
wow. That's insane, man. So about our defense, they just made Baker Mayfield look decent. They made him look good. And they made the rushing, they couldn't do anything with the run. I don't know what it was. They just got like what you said earlier, the O-line just powered through them.
I mean, I
And
think they relied heavily on that the run game. And when you have that run game, I think it just batters the defense. That run game was pretty impressive. That what was interesting is that when I said Njoku, the tight end for the Cleveland Browns, he actually got some pretty good catches and a touchdown in there. I mean, I think that's somebody that our defense may have mislooked as a tight end.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that the Browns just did a great job, putting the 2 tight ends, putting that protection on them.
yeah.
Not it's not craziness. I mean, they don't have Jarvis Landry back. Odell Beckham had 2 catches. It was
I'm
interesting.
surprised about that.
It was players like Njoku and Peppers Jones that end up getting good amount of the catches from Baker Mayfield.
I was seriously surprised by no Odell. Like I didn't really see him out of like you said, 2 catches. I
Yeah,
thought he was gonna have a good game, honestly.
I'm not sure how many snaps he played though. 'Cause I know
Yeah.
he's been dealing with a few things. So, I mean, the run game works. The run game works. So that's what I think they were banking on with the Browns, and that was punishing already enough. So
Yeah. Probably one of the most intense games of the year so far. I
would
mean, for
agree.
Chargers. But
I would agree. It was a great battle between both teams. The Chargers, I'm glad they stepped to the plate. They were down by 2 touchdowns at one point. I think it was 27-13. As I said before, I mentioned already earlier about Staley calling a 2-point conversion, which I was kind of confused at. But I guess he probably didn't trust his kicker, so he probably trusted more of the 2-point conversion instead of the actual field goal. So that kind of made sense. But
I'll be
yeah,
surprised if the kicker's not let go.
it's possible, but it's just hard because I feel like we constantly keep recycling kickers. We had, over the years, we had Koo, we had Badgley,
Josh
we had
Lambo.
Lambo, and eventually they end up doing so well. It's just like, are we going to be able to finally eventually get the kicker we want? That would be effective for this Charger team. I'm hoping so. I mean, that's kind of important right now. So
I know. Do we got to trade a 2nd round pick for Justin Tucker or something? Kind of down at this point.
yeah. But anyways, just to end the recap, I would say everything was pretty fought battles between the first, second, and third, but the fourth quarter was just it's just basically a bomb barrage of touchdowns between both teams. It was just like touchdown, 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 touchdown. It was
insane.
nuts within the fourth quarter was, I mean, it ended up jumping from like 20s to like the 40s. So it was just touchdown after touchdown. I think for some teams it took like 2-3 minutes in and they already got a touchdown. Like
Chargers
Mike
had
Williams
21
passed.
points. Yeah. Chargers had 21 points. Yeah, sorry.
21 points. Yeah, they started 21 points for the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That's pretty intense. And they end up getting 47. So they end up scoring 26 points within the fourth quarter itself. That's pretty impressive. I mean, Ekeler was pretty big and Williams was wide open. I still don't understand that safety play. Yeah, that's pretty impressive to get that many points.
I know. Pretty
But yeah,
crazy.
that recap was pretty nuts. I think the only thing that I was confused about was that when they mixed the extra point and it was 42-41,
Oh
Browns
man.
had the ball within the minutes. And what was interesting is that they decided to run. They decided to kind of do very conservative plays. And for me, it's
Yeah.
like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just go for the win or go for like a field goal or go for something to put pressure on our team? I mean, there was a lot of time left. There was timeouts. You're giving the Chargers the ball to get that chance at the win of the game. I
Yeah, they
mean,
ran the ball on a third down.
yeah.
I
I
was
mean,
like,
maybe
what
they
the
really
heck?
were confident, but it was, I guess maybe they trusted more of their running game than their passing game at that moment.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I guess that sounds like what it was, but I just couldn't believe my eyes when I just saw them go for it. I mean, run for it on the third down, and then voila, we had the ball back, and I was like, "Are you insane? You want the ball in Herbert's hands?"
Yeah. But that's what I think you should do. I mean, we were probably going to end up talking about this eventually. I mean, the pass interference call, I mean, that probably frustrated the Browns fan because that wasn't called on, I think, earlier within the fourth quarter. But at the end of the day, if you want to be a good team and you want to continue to keep being a competitive team, you need to play throughout the whole entire game. So when you see somebody like the Browns up with a lead and knowing that there's so many timeouts between both teams, and you have a chance to kind of put more of a maybe get a game-winning touchdown or at least put a field goal up, control more of the clock, take some time off the clock. I would have done it if I was the Browns. I
Yeah,
felt as though it was very conservative play. I didn't feel like that was the mentality as a competitor to kind of just be more conservative at the end. I think they should have. I personally felt as though they should have done a little bit more because I felt the Chargers were rising. I mean, I saw how confident they were in their drives and their touchdowns. Why would you want to give the ball back to them?
yeah,
So that was kind of for me. It was like that showed me like you still have to compete. And despite whatever happens, what the challenges are, any team would just compete to win, despite it going their way, despite whatever happens between referees, despite maybe the turnovers or everything that happens, you still have to compete. And if you have a chance to win that game, even though it becomes a little bit bleak for you, you have to compete and try to get that win as much of a cost. So you might lose, but at least you're showing urgency of finishing the game off. Because honestly, I felt as though I was scared when they were down by one. I was like, okay, the
yeah.
Browns are going to be
No
more
kidding.
ball, but that for me is what they should have done towards the end of the game.
Yeah, the play calling made no sense at the end for them. Just very surprised to see that. Like they ran it, or they passed twice, right? And then they ran it third down.
I know they ran in third down. I can't really remember the first. I know during second down, I think they definitely passed it. But for me, it's like I was like, do you really want to give back the ball to Herbert?
I was surprised
With
when I
one
saw them
play.
punting it. Yeah, when they were
It just
punting
felt
it
like it
to
was like,
us,
you really want to give the ball back to Herbert. So
I was like, okay.
'cause he's on fire. He was definitely on fire within the fourth quarter. So